Okay, so good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good tag, and welcome to another Torbay Elite Fantasy Football podcast. Now, for those of you that are more observant than the average Yogi Bear, you can see that we've got 3, not 2. Things growing by the minute. So, hello, Jay. How are you?
Hey, Dan, you're right. Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Good. And Mr. Steveo, how are you?
Good afternoon. You can tell who the professional YouTuber is when Jason's sound is better than my own voice in my own room. So, hello, everyone.
Hey, you're right.
Yeah, so as ever, we're going to be talking about the top 4 in the league. And obviously, 2 of those top teams are talking tonight. And also talk about our own team. Well, talk about my team as well. Talk about teams that are doing well in the league. It's just a general overview of the season so far. So obviously, we've got the international break coming up this weekend. So we're looking at the Premier League in general, a review of the league so far, a review of the teams, how the teams have done, and looking at teams that we're surprised by. And yeah, just talking all things FPL. So if we look at Jay's team to start off with, and no doubt we'll have a big smile on his face as he's riding on the wave of his worldwide success. So here we are.
I want to pass comments straight away, and Jay probably saw my comments last week, and I'm genuinely. I want to ask you, Jason, seriously, are you aiming to win Torbay Elite, or with the ranking that you're at now, are you genuinely looking at possibly winning the whole overall tournament?
Well, let me just start off saying that I consider myself really lucky the way that it's panned out in the first few weeks. That's the stats, the left backs at the moment in the Premier League at the moment are just unreal. I think I did start off with a very template team with a couple of cheapies, and these cheapies are now really sought after, like the likes of Wan-Bissaka, Bennett. I've transferred in Bennett now. I have considered it. I've looked at the overall some of the top teams, and they've used 1 and some cases 2 chips already. So there is all possibility that I could go up, but this week I went down. So,
yeah, I noticed you went from 553rd down to 774.
I did, yeah.
And I looked at so like you alluded to, so far it's the same for me. I seem to have struck gold with the players that have done really well so far. For example, like you've got there Mendy, Robertson, Wan-Bissaka, Alonso. And you've only made 3 transfers. So you made 1 in game week 2, which of course was jumping on the bandwagon of Watford's Pereira. And in that game time, he's given you one goal return. And then last week, you brought in Walcott for Richarlison, which is, of course, what everybody did. And Bennett of Wolves. And I'm genuinely fascinated by how this is the best season that has started for me. And I'm only 14,000 in the world. You must be loving life in the top 1,774. Do you feel the pressure already after 4 game weeks?
I must admit, I was thinking and overthinking. I think in this sort of game, you can over and over, you can put together in your mind numerous teams that you'd like to put out each week. Obviously, when I say that, I've wildcarded, if you didn't know that. So I think that's probably one of the main causes of my stress at the moment, is that that I felt the need to use my wildcard.
Sorry to interject. Are you telling us that you've wildcarded?
Yeah.
Wow. And funny enough, well, I'm now going to have to tell you I've wildcarded myself. So 2 teams are doing extraordinarily well have surprisingly decided to wildcard. Now, I'll go into reasons for myself, but if you could elaborate on why you've decided to wildcard, considering how well you're doing.
I feel that there's a few things in my team where I wasn't quite happy with going forward. Looking at the underlying stats, I'm very, very surprised that Mane is outperforming Salah at the moment. I don't think that that's going to be a trend that's going to continue. Salah's underlying stats suggest that he is on par to match the same sort of points per game as last season, obviously an FPL record. Mane, I just feel like having 3 Liverpool assets in my team with the fixtures going forward is probably 1, maybe 2 too many. Some people would disagree with me on that. So I've been looking closely at Liverpool and what assets I'd like to keep of Liverpool. I was very disappointed in Walcott. I think most of us were, and with Everton in general. It seems that they really do suffer without Richarlison in the team. So I'm not very happy with my own decision to follow the crowd and go in for Walcott. But there's a couple of other things as well. So I didn't want to take I think I could have probably looked at maybe an 8-point hit, but considering where I am in the overall rankings, I didn't want to take a hit. I'm not also happy with 1 or 2 others. So yeah, hit the wildcard button. It's a good time to do it as well.
Yeah, I for my own personal reasons. So if Dan can get up my own team, as I've just said, I've decided to wildcard myself, and exactly as Jason has just alluded to, there are players on my team which I just feel aren't performing to how I personally expected. Now, it's funny you bring up the Mane conundrum regarding him outperforming Salah. And in our season preview, now, we can all take it to what we say in that as a touch of weather, but I did say at the fact that I believe that teams will have worked out Salah, and actually it'll be Mane and Firmino that actually benefit the most. However, ironically, it's just been Mane that's been benefiting and Salah has kind of been keeping up. But I feel that for £13 million, I can spend that money better elsewhere for a player which is going to be bringing in more points on a more regular basis. Salah isn't doing it for me at the moment. He's not getting the bonus points. He's not really getting the goals. His price isn't going up, so I'm not gonna gain anything on him. But there's a chance that his price will go down. Now, he at the moment is on 114,000 sales at the moment, and me personally, I will admit that I have got rid of him for the time being. I may come back to it if his price drops down by 12 to 12.9, maybe 12.8. But a lot of these are going to be wildcard players. I've been very, very disappointed by Aubameyang. Ironically, if I'd have gone with Lacazette, I would have got more points from the Arsenal attacker. I needed, no matter what, to get Alonso in. You've been benefiting the reward from Alonso, no matter what, along with various others. Joe Hart, as much as he has done really well for me, and the fact that he got that penalty save for me,
that's crazy.
He's out the door. I just feel with my team that, like you said, their fixtures coming up are a lot more difficult ahead, and I feel that hitting the wild card now and maybe making money on players is the best strategy for me, and it just seems like you're doing exactly the same.
Yeah.
I think I might do the same as well. I've been thinking about it. Honest to God, I have been looking at the fixtures, and yeah, well, we're going to go. Well, obviously, we're talking about top 4 at the moment, but yes, I'll allude as to why that is shortly.
But yeah, I mean, as I alluded to just prior to when we started, the top 4 at the moment, we barely made any transfers at all. Now, admittedly, it's only been 4 game weeks, but as you can allude to, Dan, you've actually already taken 2 -4 hits, whereas in the top 4 as it stands right now, there's only 1 player which is in 4th spot, United, and he took a -4 funny enough in this game week, and it actually turned out to be a -2 overall because the 2 players that he brought in were Walcott and Guendouzi of your club, Arsenal.
Yeah. Ben Fowler.
They only accumulated a total of 2 points. In reality, you got a -2. Face, Connolly's Face. His team are doing excellently. They're 3016th in the world.
Yeah.
And every single one of his transfers has paid off. So in game week 3, he made his first transfer, which was bringing in Alonso. And over the 2 game weeks, he's accumulated 19 points. He brought in Danny Ings, which got him a goal, of course, last week. And then last week, he brought in Pedro, which has already got him 1 goal already, despite only making a 25-minute cameo. I mean, my transfers have been really good. I brought in Maddison. He got me an assist. Walcott, like Jason said, he was just follow the bandwagon, to be honest with you. We all thought that he'd be able to replace Richarlison's possible output, especially the fact that Walcott brought in some attacking returns. Unfortunately, didn't repay the faith. And I also brought in Bennett of Wolves, just a 4 million enabler defender. But he also got a clean sheet as well. But with you, Dan, do you want to talk about your own team? You've dropped down to 8.
Yeah.
Now, you're 42 points off 4th. Taken 2, as I've just alluded to, 2 -4 hits, with bringing in Mane, Wilson, Neves and Zaha, and they've brought you in a total of 1 goal and 2 assists.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling so far?
Oh, just absolutely gutted. I mean, I was at Phil Jewell's wedding on Saturday afternoon, and we were like, at certain points, we're keeping an eye on the FPL. And when Shirley scored, I turned the air red. I was getting really wound up. People were looking at me like, calm down, this is a wedding, man. Chill out. But I brought in Neves, 3 points. So that didn't really work out. Mane, pleased that I got him in. But yeah, obviously Zaha at home to Southampton, with the form that he's been on, that was one of the shock results of the weekend. The thing is with these decisions, it's like, it's all very well looking back at it in hindsight, but I don't regret bringing Zaha in because Tosin was doing nothing for me, and he did nothing against Huddersfield for Everton, apart from have a couple of scrappy shots. So, and yeah, obviously see Hart on the bench as well is heartbreaking. Excuse the pun, but yeah, Zaha, that was a bit of bad luck. But I think where I've suffered and what I was talking about with the Wildcard before is this thing with Edison, and how you quite rightly said in the last podcast about when you have a sort of high-priced goalkeeper for a top team, if you like, it doesn't always pay off, and that Edison has not really paid off for me, and also it denies me getting in another Man City asset. And I think it was one of the most frustrating game weeks because Bernardo Silva, I just had this feeling, because he was taken off after about 69, 70 minutes against Wolves the previous game week. I just had this gut feeling he wouldn't play, and he didn't. So that's a typical thing of FPL, always follow your gut instinct. Salah, I had him, obviously still in the team, and I've seen that on the Fantasy Premier League Twitter. There is a poll about whether to keep Salah in or not. I mean, he missed a shot from about 6 yards out against Leicester City with no defenders around him. It just wasn't my game week, man. I mean, I got Aguero as captain, but Wilson's a frustrating one because he got 2 assists the previous week against Everton, but away to Chelsea, he did have more chances. He had chances against Everton, so he's a striker that'll have his moments, but he's not clinical. And yeah, I mean, it's so frustrating. So I think the wild card really could be on the agenda, because I think the team does need a bit of a restructuring, so we say.
Well, going on that. So, Jason, are you planning on having a full restructure of your team, or is it just more a case of covering what you already alluded to, the fact that you could take an 8-point hit, but you're not really willing to take that hit because it will affect your overall rank? Do you feel that a wild card is more covering the fact that you're looking at players' fixtures like I am, and not really wanting to take an 8-point, a 12-point, or even a 16-point hit just to make the odd change here or there?
Yeah, that's a good question. So fixtures do come into play. Also, I'd like to have a team that maybe strengthen my bench a bit more, having players that are more likely to get minutes. Having like the likes of Kamara, for example, going towards the end of the year.
Because if Dan scrolls down, your bench is. Well, I looked at it the other week. It is. It's terrible.
Jason and a half.
It's just bad, man. Yeah, it's sorting it out, as you say.
Yeah, so basically, I'm looking at least, I would say at least 5 solid 6 changes maybe to my team.
Yeah, it's the same for me. I feel that there are players on form at the moment. We can't hide the fact these players are like Hazard, Alonso, to name 2. I was even looking at Pereira, but his fixtures look atrocious at the moment. Wolves' fixtures are picking up, I see, and I'm looking at them and slowly thinking I think they're worth investing in after the slow start to the season that they had.
Should we have a quick look at Connor Lee's team?
Yeah, let's have a look.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so just look through that there. Obviously, Connor's new to the league, as we can all just see. Obviously, here very strong midfield as well. Alonso, Robinson. I think we've talked about this before, but it very much this season feels like the strength of the defence. And for me, I was always like, in the past, it was always like these cheap Stoke City defenders, or like West Brom, like Macaulay from West Brom, and Shawcross from Stoke City, and Cedric, the Southampton favourite, who actually did get an assist on this weekend. But it's very much been premium defenders paying off, hasn't it, really? I don't know what you guys think about that.
Defenders are more like wingers now.
Yes. Yeah, that's very true. Especially for Arsenal.
You know, you're looking at likes of Alonso, Robertson, Mendy. I mean, essentially, Mendy has been playing like left wing.
Yeah.
You look at his heat maps; he spends the majority of the game in the opponent's half.
Well, that's what he did for Monaco, wasn't it? He got a lot of assists for Monaco. Played really well against Man City, and then Man City were like, "Right, we'll just buy you." So, but yeah, that's a very good point, and.
You could argue that Mendy was responsible for Newcastle's goal, but for being a bit...
There is that side to it as well. And, but yeah, obviously Alonso. I mean, Alonso is possibly lucky.
Look at Connor's team. He's got some nice differentials in there. Lucas Moura, Pedro. These are the 3 players that are doing relatively well at the moment, especially Lucas Moura. And none of us have got Lucas Moura in our team.
You know what? I have to say about Lucas Moura, for the last couple of game weeks, when I've had say 10 out of my 11 players playing, and then there's the Spurs fixture that's just looming, and then I just been like, I just don't want him to do anything, and he just comes out with the goods. I mean, against Man United, he just ripped us apart, really. But yeah, I wasn't expecting the assist. It was a bit of a lucky one, but he seems to be getting the points.
So going back to your, because I'm genuinely fascinated by how well you're doing, Jason, and you've been mentioning heat maps, statistical analysis. Do you rely a lot on that?
I look at a lot of the underlying stats, a lot of the expected goals stats, the heat maps. Obviously, we probably all spent some time on the Fantasy Football Scout website. They've got some really, really good information on there. There's a lot of good debate on there, but there's also a lot of bandwagoning going on and templates. And I do dabble in a bit of statistics every now and again.
And do you find? I mean, I'm saying that something that's completely ridiculous here, but are you finding that it's actually that analysis is actually paying off, or is it actually in some reason? But I mean, take Salah. You said his underlying stats suggest that he's on course to equal what happened last year, but so far he hasn't performed to the expectations we are hoping.
I mean, from a FPL point of view, no, he's not getting the points. But generally speaking, from the eye test and from the underlying stats, which at the end of the day do indicate what positions he's getting in, how many shots he's having in the game. I do expect that the people that are transferring out Salah may rue their decisions in the next, even against Tottenham. I mean, I could quite, it wouldn't, how many people here, would it surprise if he gets a brace against Tottenham, next game week? I mean, he is that sort of player that when he scores big. I just think that I've also transferred out Salah.
So this interests me. I really do find that. So after everything you've just said, you've actually transferred him out. Is this because, like me, there are more players, i.e. Hazard, which are more consistently getting the points than Salah?
I think a lot of people that are transferring Salah out are doing it on a wild card. Just by the sheer fact that I've decided to hit the wildcard button, I feel that I need to spread my funds around my team a bit more. Obviously, there's a few changes which I have decided to go with. There's going to be a few price rises as well, which I'm trying to catch. This time, obviously, it's slowed down now due to the international break. But if Mane goes up another 0.1, if Mane goes up another 0.1, I may look at getting Salah back in for Mane. But I'm going to just keep monitoring the injuries and running through my head what I feel the best decision to make is, because it shouldn't all be around one player. And at the moment, it seems to be all fixed around Salah. Having him, or if you have him, you have to sacrifice in other areas of your team. If you don't, you can spread the funds around. There's a lot of premium attacking options that people are getting in, the likes of Wilson. Mitrovic is looking like he could get a massive score this season against small and big teams. So yeah, it all depends on how I want my bench to look like. If I want my bench to be 4.0, 4.0, 4.5, then yeah, I could probably look at getting Salah in. But if I don't have him in, then I can, have a more healthy looking bench, which I've already spoken about. So yeah, wait and see on that one.
You see, ironically for me, I've started off, obviously not at your levels really well, but I am actually started off very, very well, being in the top 15,000. And I had a bench of just 4 million, 4.5, basically non-playing players, and actually it's paid off really well with my mate Bowley twice coming up, surprisingly, with attacking.
Bowley.
That's it, yeah. And
couldn't believe that.
And at the start of the season, I agree with you in what you were saying, that you would have to base your team around Salah. But with the amount of data that we have over the past 4 game weeks, I now think that Salah is just cash that can be, as you've already explained, to be used elsewhere. What do you think, Dan?
Oh, it's hard, man, because I can just I'm going to probably will be playing my wild card, and there's always one pivotal player each season. In the past it's been like Juarez, and other, Kane or whoever else. And I don't know. Watching it, I mean, like that chance he missed from 6 yards out against Leicester. It just you sort of scratching your head and thinking, is this still the same Salah, and is he still? This is all hypothesizing here, but he's injured during the World Cup, and is there a bit of fatigue from there? I don't know. But it could be like a case that you said that teams have sussed him out from last season. But my honest opinion is that Salah's still pivotal. I think they've just made him too expensive in the game. Really and truly, that 13 million they've just made him too expensive, and that gives everyone this quandary of whether to stick or twist with him. But in answer to your question, I mean, obviously you've got the stats here as well. Got a goal against West Ham and 2 assists against Palace. So So he's not done badly. I mean, he is.
Is he really doing that bad? I mean,
he is human. It's just because the levels of performance last season, and even the season before for Roma, although it's not an FPL, but he's still got a lot of goals then. Like Jason said, I think people will rue their decision. I mean, we'll look at the fixtures up. Spurs away. That's
All red.
Game. Southampton at home would be 3 points. Let's be honest. No disrespect. Chelsea away, Man City at home. So they're not easy fixtures over the next 4 game weeks, barring the Southampton at home game.
I think a lot of the people that have got him out this week, they're going to be looking at getting him back in, probably in game week 9.
And that's the difficulty, isn't it? Because if you take him out, and then it's just like getting that 13 million, and obviously, like Stephen said, unless he goes down in price, but just based on his performance last season, it's still, he's not as explosive as this season, but he's still having that good impact, like Jay just showed with the stats. So,
but that's the thing. It's the fear factor of his ownership. I mean, I don't know what it showed on his ownership, but I'm assuming it's just
over
below
50%.
now. It's still over 50%, is it?
Yeah, 51.9.
Any goal or assist that he gets, whoever doesn't have him is going to drop in a rank, my understanding is. But for me, for a player which is only getting a goal or, a couple of assists, but a goal or an assist here or there, isn't really performing at a 13 million price tag, I'd be expecting a minimum of not only a goal, but he's not even in the bonus points either. And that's the most frustrating thing from Salah's perspective, is that he doesn't get me the bonus points, whereas players like Mane and Robertson, they're in those bonus point areas. And I just feel that... Yeah, even Milner, yes. And he's just, for other players to be doing what he's doing and to be getting into the bonus points, I think there's just better value spent elsewhere, personally.
And the issue with it is as well, is it... just looking at the top there. The issue with it is it obviously affects your front line as well. And I'm having to get these like Tosuns in, and I've got Zaha. I was happy to get Zaha in, or Arnautovic, your sort of lower mid-range option. So that's a big factor as well. And you only have to go with one big heavy hitter unless you go 2 big heavy hitters and 1 budget one. So that has an impact as well. So no, it's all to play for. That.
Yeah. So far then, Jason, are you happy at the fact that you've wildcarded?
Yes. No, I am. I am because there was a few things I wasn't happy about in my team, and the couple of drafts that I've put together so far, I'm pretty confident with going forward. The price rises are nice as well. I managed to get a couple of price rises since the weekend. So little clues on what I might have been bringing in. And hopefully, again, a couple more price rises will come through by the next game week. It just sucks that we have to wait so long.
That's right. And I want to do something. But the thing with the international break, it does give you time to think. And I guess in a way, that time to think may prompt people to wildcard anyway. It's not a bit boring. They might be like, well, let's have a look at the team and think, well, actually, now I've got this extra bit of time. I can, obviously barring any injuries with the players on international duty, have a look at their team. But I think we need a bit of. I do feel we need a bit of comic relief after these weighty debates about Salah and everything. So let's have a look at our podcast team down there.
Where is it? Is it?
Wow, mate, that's it. Yeah.
Where are we? Let's keep scrolling.
We're on the next page.
Yours. Have we only got 6 minutes left? I'm just seeing this at the top. Remaining meeting time 6 minutes. But...
Yeah, we'll have to just restart it.
Okay, all right, cool. So it's enough time to weep over this. I mean, Hensley, he saved the penalty, didn't he, from Charlie Austin, Bowley. So we obviously played our wild card, or Steveo played the wild card, to be fair. And yeah, what do you reckon, Steveo?
I like the team. They're all.
Hollabass on the bench.
Right.
Yeah, yes.
Trisha.
They've all, let's be fair here. It's your bandwagon team. I mean, that's all we can do with the ruling that we've given ourselves of only picking players from the top 6 downwards from last year. These are pretty much the best players you can buy for that money. And yes, I mean, the points say it all, really. We're bottom of the league. We're 161 points off Jason alone. So this team is going nowhere. And as everybody sees, it's a wild card team. And it's just a shambles. It's gone a lot worse than I expected, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously Steveo did all this. I mean, we've got Mitrovic and he scored, but then he...
It's a good team. That's the thing. Like, it's a really good players in this.
Going back to it, Mitrovic, he got him in. He did score because he got a goal previous week, and then he did some stupid handball to give the Brighton the penalty for the second goal for the equaliser, and it's just a bit of our luck. But we've not done too badly this particular game week. It's a week prior where we've
above average.
Yeah, I mean, Mkhitaryan 1 point, Walcott 1 point, Monreal 0 points for letting in 2 goals against Cardiff. But the team's looking at it's a good wild card, I think. It's a captain
pick, right?
Yes, yeah. Bamiyang 16 points. Obviously got a great goal against Cardiff City on the weekend. So we will see how it progresses. But obviously we can't wild card again, so we're going to have to be looking at these, sort of mid-table, lower teams and picking out these differentials. And I don't want to finish bottom. I can't finish bottom of my own, well, not my own league, but our own league. I never live it down.
Yeah. Right, well, that's part 1 done. I suppose Jason has to restart the whole thing again.
Yeah, back in a second.
So, Dan, we wanted to look at last year's winner, Dale Bellamy's Maverick team, and see how well Dale's doing so far. I believe he's 18th at the moment in the league.
Maverick, there we go.
That's the one.
So, Dale, mate, what is going on with your team?
Oof, that defence. Double up.
It's...
He's invested the money in the midfield and attack, hasn't he?
Yeah. And at the moment, he's... Where's Dale Bellamy here? He's 78 points off you, Jason. Now, it's not that difficult to overturn, but for the season that you're having at the moment, I think that Dale's going to find it a real struggle to really challenge to getting back his title off. Well, not off himself, but trying to get the title, retain the title is the word we're looking for here.
Only one player's done that.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
But he doesn't decide to play in our league anymore. I wonder why.
Well, I was getting tips off him on the weekend. I should have bought him a few more drinks, actually, to get some more.
But yeah, I mean, Charlie Daniels, a player that just seems to be out of favour with Eddie Howe. I think they brought in a new left back. Is that right, Dan?
Yes.
Rico,
that's the one. Yeah, Rico. Yeah.
Of course, the $4 million Cardiff defender Peltier doesn't play for Cardiff anymore. That's 2 players straight away. In fact, to be honest, I think again, like in our boats, Dale's a team which I think needs a wild card. To sort himself out, to be honest with you.
Got Hazard in though. Got Hazard. He sort of picked up the season, hasn't he? I know a few teams. When I was talking about players that made a difference, I remember when Antonio Conte first took over, and it was like Fabregas, Costa. Those are the 2 I was mentioning in my reports every week, and then obviously Hazard as well. And obviously they're playing a more attacking side of football. And Hazard's pretty interesting, to be fair, with the fixtures Chelsea got going on. They're mixed, but if people are taking out Salah.
Yeah, so if we look at his brother, Cy Bellamy's team now, I always look at Cy's team as a bit of a veteran to the game, a bit like myself, and we're all surprised at the fact that he used his triple captain on Aguero this weekend, and it just didn't pay off, did it, Jason?
It didn't, but it could have been worse. He could have got 1 point.
Yeah. I mean, Sai must be. I mean, if you look at his team, it's okay, but you've still got Jota in there. That bandwagon shot after game week 1, and
You didn't tell me that.
Harry Kane, he just isn't doing anything at the moment, FPL wise. A lot of money has been invested in that front line there, with just no returns whatsoever. And
am I right in saying he's played his wild card?
Do you know what? No, he hasn't. No, he's only played his triple captain. He may have hit the wild card button this week. I don't know, but certainly he's in a desperate state at the moment. I mean, again, Daniels, Peltier, Kennedy of Newcastle. I mean, even when I did the preview of the season, his team was one of the worst that I reviewed, and it clearly is showing at the moment. He's 80 points off you, Jason, and he's going to find it a bit of a struggle, especially the fact that triple captainship has been used already. And it's like you already alluded to, a lot of the guys in the top 100 at the moment, they've all used a lot of their chips. And people like yourself are going to be taking full advantage of this when these double game weeks come around later in March, April time.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Cedric and Patricio in there, but like you said, it's a very invested in 2 premium strikers, and in the midfield he's been let down a bit by Walcott and obviously Jota.
That's a lot of money going into Salah, Kane and Aguero, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, and the bench is pretty weak, isn't it? But Sai has got the capability to pull it back. Let's be honest. Over the seasons, he's always in and around challenging. So we're watching this. I won't be too disheartened because I know that obviously sometimes he picks up as the season goes on. But
I mean, it's like you said, it's early days, and talking of early days, but. How are we finding the Premier League season so far? All going as planned, barring Watford in third. It's all as you'd expect, really, in the top 5. Really, you got Liverpool obviously top, and they're who I believe will win the whole thing. Chelsea second, Watford third, Manchester City fourth, and then Tottenham fifth. How are you finding the season so far?
Yeah, pretty. To be fair, pretty good. I mean, I'm very surprised, but we didn't really talk about Watford in the actual initial podcast. We kind of went over Watford and we didn't really talk about their team, but their managers obviously got them really well organised. Holebas is doing well, and Pereira, obviously that Jay got in, is doing really well. So well done to Watford. Great to see Tottenham beating Man United 3-0 and then losing to Watford the following. That was absolutely fantastic. I actually cheered on the second goal. How sad's that? But in general, Liverpool started strongly. Their defence is a lot more stronger than it was before. And obviously Man City and Liverpool running, but Chelsea have looked quite good as well. Chelsea looking a lot more attacking, and it's been all right. And then obviously, with regards to my team. I'm just seeing if I'm on the screen because I realise I'm talking.
Yeah, you're on screen. We can all see you.
All right. As long as I'm on the, that's the main thing about this whole podcast. But no, but I mean, in regards to Arsenal, I think I've been very patient, but I wasn't expecting an awful lot from the first 2 games. You've got to realise it's a new manager and lots changed over the last year. People have got to realise that the whole setup at the club, obviously very experienced manager's gone. Lots of players, Giroud, Sanchez, Saka, all. I could go on and on and on and on, but there's been a lot. It basically almost feels like over the last 12 months a completely new team, and it's a new style of playing. We've seen some good attacking play, but the old defensive errors coming back in. So I don't think many people will be getting better check in over the next few game weeks. But
can I ask though, Dan, the Lacazette and Aubameyang conundrum? Is it a case of play them both or just play one?
You know what? I hope Emre keeps playing them both because it was particularly the way they linked up for Aubameyang's goal was brilliant. And Lacazette...
That little flick of Lacazette was awesome.
Yeah, it was quality. And I think Lacazette, he came on against West Ham in the second half and helped to change the game when we won 3-1 at the Emirates 3 this week. And I think Lacazette realised that he has to be top on his game now that Aubameyang's here. And I think it's more exciting, obviously, having Aubameyang on the wing and Lacazette up front. So we don't really have much natural wingers in the team as well. So hopefully, Emre will stick with that. And we're going to need to do a Newcastle with 95, 96 where we score more goals than we let in, because we are going to be letting in goals with the way we're playing. But Lacazette.
I feel more confident having Lacazette and Aubameyang up front than Lingard and Lukaku right at the moment.
Yeah, but I mean, with United, it's been the thing with the whole way it's worked, because there's a lot of pressure on Mourinho. Obviously, before the season started, this whole thing on transfer deadline day, tried to get Godin in, tried to get Maguire in. They went back by Edward Woods, and then got that sort of shaky one over Leicester, and the shock defeat to Brighton, and the pressure's bit, and then obviously losing to Tottenham. But they played well in that first half against Tottenham. That's the thing people forget. And
yeah, that chance for Lukaku though, he should have put that chance away.
Yeah, that was it. And if that goes in,
yeah.
But it's a different game. And the second half just exposed those defensive errors. But I think the United fans must be split at the moment. But at least they're kind of going for it now, because in a way they haven't really got anything to lose. I mean, what do you think, Joe? Obviously, you're a big United fan and been watching them for years and that, and it's a strange time.
It is a strange time. There's obviously some issues. Mourinho, I've always rated Mourinho as a manager. There's a lot of stories that have been put out about Mourinho. You could argue that the media have kind of got it in for him a little bit. He doesn't help himself sometimes with the comments he makes. However, I do think that we can only march on from this, and it seems like we had a convincing win against Burnley, and Burnley are no pushovers at home anyway.
I mean, that links on quite nicely to Burnley. I mean, Steveo, it's been a terrible. I mean, I'm saying the obvious. It's been terrible for Burnley, and obviously they're not progressing in the Europa League now. Unfortunately, after going out against Olympiacos. So what's happened?
Well, before we go on to that, I wanted to ask Jason actually regarding United. I've been looking at possibly investing in a couple of their assets in Lukaku and Shaw in my wildcard team, and are United assets there to invest in FPL, or is it more of a wait and see how much better that they do? Because their fixtures upcoming are all green, I believe.
Sorry, I was messing around with my notifications then. Are you asking me a question about United in the FPL?
Yeah, United assets, and I'm looking at Lukaku and Shaw potentially as players to bring into my team. What is your opinion on the United assets?
Shaw's looking like a whole new player this season. Of every game I've watched, he's been my man of the match. I think bringing Shaw in now is a good idea, especially when people are looking to offload the likes of Robertson. It's a nice, attractive pick for me going forward for United. Obviously, going into the midfield, the likes of Sanchez is probably not worth his value at the moment. There's obviously rotation risks as well. I would say Lukaku's not a bad punt. It's not a bad punt going with Lukaku. Maybe United have turned a corner, and the fixtures, like you said, are looking pretty nice. So I wouldn't judge anyone or be surprised if we did see quite one or two people in the top half of our league bring in Lukaku, especially if they've wildcarded.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to bring up that question to avoid Dan's question how Burnley are doing. Everybody knows we're second from bottom. We got a measly point at Southampton on the opening day of the season and a drab 0-0 draw. And the simple answer is this, Dan. It's the fact that Sean Dyche rotates. And our team only works when we're playing the same team week in, week out. And I know why he's doing it. I know why he's rotating. And it just hasn't worked. And unfortunately, this has affected our results in the Premier League. All this rubbish about our players are tired from playing in a match just a couple of days. Yeah, there's a bit of factors here and there, but Dyche used to say it all the time. In fact, ironically, he was the one that used to come out with all these journalists saying that Burnley aren't good enough to be in the Premier League and everything. Well, in a minute, we were playing 46 games in the Championship. We were playing the same team week in, week out. And then when, of course, we should be doing that week in, week out, he decides to rotate. And well, guess what? The results are backfiring. And at the moment, I'm not suggesting for 1 minute Sean Dyche out. Not at all. And I predicted that, as we know at the start of the season, we did our prediction. I did say that this is probably going to happen. But I think that this, as Joe Hart has said, he come out and said that this international break is probably the best thing for our team to reevaluate everything and see what's up next. And yeah, I'm personally glad that the international break's come. And I mean, it's not for another couple of weeks. Next week Saturday that we're up against Wolves away, a team in form. But I'm hoping that this international break has kind of broken up the form, so to speak. And I'd like to think that we slowly get back on track.
Yeah, well, obviously it comes at a good time for Burnley. I mean, it's a shame they didn't get into that Europa League, but yeah, just watching the highlights and just seeing them letting the goals, like particularly against Fulham, and it's I mean, do you think? I hate to be really bleak. Probably good. This question's probably going to depress you, but do you think Burnley could get relegated this season?
They're up there with Southampton, Huddersfield, and Cardiff as 4 of the worst teams in that league. So at the moment, after 4 game weeks, those 4 teams are the most shambolic of the lot. However, I think that over the course of the season, I personally believe that Fulham may be dragged into it. Bournemouth usually start faltering over the Christmas period. And Brighton is another team as well, which I think will get caught into it. I think we will just survive. But ironically, it's probably because we're out of Europe that we'll just survive. Even though the thought of, I saw Olympiacos' group thing, and the fact that we could have played AC Milan.
Oh, no.
It would have been extraordinary. Unfortunately, that isn't the case. Yeah. So the simple answer is, do I think we will get relegated? I'm quite literally 50-50 at this stage. But, you know, we will see. We will see after the next 3 or 4 weeks how we do without this Europa League hanging above us anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've got to contend with that. I even actually forgot about the Europa League. And we've got some of the teams. I know we've got Sporting Lisbon, and they've got Nani, and they've got obviously Sporting Lisbon team of pedigree and prestige, but the other teams are playing, I can't even remember them. Sorry. But yeah, we're going to have that to contend with, and how Emre, what team he plays, that may affect obviously Lacazette, Aubameyang as well, whether Welbeck will be playing in that competition against some of the teams you'd expect us to beat. And after that, when the European competitions come on, that obviously has a big impact on the risk of rotation. I'm sure Pep Guardiola will rotate his team for the Champions League. I mean, going back to the relegation situation, I mean, Bournemouth have, you know what, obviously I'll talk about Bournemouth, it's kind of my second team, and in a sense, and they've started the season really well. I think the game that pleased me the most, and I'm actually not sort of a fan here, but was the game at home to Everton when they were 2 goals down, about half an hour to go, and they pulled it back to 2-2. And even away to Chelsea, they actually had quite a few presentable chances. So I think Bournemouth have started a lot better than I expected. They got a couple of late signings in, which I think was really important. And the other thing with regards to the other teams is obviously Brighton and Southampton have both got proven Premier League goal scorers in their team. Maybe I'm jumping a little bit on the Danny Ings bandwagon, but he did have a great season obviously for Burnley a few seasons ago. Liverpool, a lot of injuries, but he started really well and looks really hungry to be getting the goals there. And Charlie Austin's obviously got a good up and down record in the past. And then, yeah, Brighton, it's just Glenn Murray, the old Bulldog, comes on, he's 35 and saves the day for Brighton. He reminds me a lot of Kevin Davis, actually, back in the day from Bolton Wanderers, you know, that Bulldog front, you know, yeah. That's what he does, but he does.
The old workhorse.
I was thinking, wouldn't it be nice if he got an England call up? But it'd be interesting to see. But I still think, like you say, Cardiff, although Cardiff give us a really good game, and they've got a great home support as well. I'm not saying I can't the game. I was watching the game. Obviously, Cardiff got very passionate support, but yeah, Cardiff. Like I said, Burnley's in a bit of trouble there. Southampton, and then Huddersfield. But then Huddersfield did get a good result away to Everton, and it'll be interesting. It could be the case that towards the end of the season, it will be that relegation battle like last season. That'll be the interesting one for us.
So just to go full circle, just to conclude this whole thing. So the question I want to ask Jason, kind of linking it in with real life Premier League, is Jason, are you going to be doing a Leicester and going all the way and winning the Torbay Elite title, or are you going to do a Watford in which what they did last year as well, which is start off like a train and just fade into obscurity? What is your outlook for the season ahead, mate?
You got to try and win it, haven't you?
That's what I like to hear.
I feel like it would be a massive letdown. Not just for our league, but just for the ranking that I'm at the moment. If I was to just lose sight of things and start doing stupid transfers and, taking unnecessary hits and wildcarding early. I'm gonna do my best. So it's up to you guys to bring in those differentials.
I know where I'm going to finish. I'm going to finish in 11th or 12th. I'm going to do really crap, and then I'm going to pick up at the end of the season. And mid-table. Well, not mid-table. By the mid-table, but I want to go top 4.
Well, at the moment, there's not really much in it. There's 18 points separating first and second. And
it's really close.
Yeah, there's a 24-point difference between first and fourth. That is literally just one differential captain away from coming to the top. And the fact that us 4 are doing exceptionally well at the moment in the overall rankings suggests to me that this is going to be a very, very tight race already.
Yeah, to be fair, to get 2 game weeks where I got over 100 points, I never ever in my wildest imagination thought that was going to happen. Very lucky, and 9 points. That's what separates Connor Lee from me at the moment. He's having an absolute blinder. So up against some good teams.
Good to see some new players actually. Ben Towler and Connor. I don't know them personally, but it's good to see some new players like making an instant impact in the league. So obviously. Makes the league more interesting. One thing I will clarify, I know this is on a bit of a tangent, the league, a bit late to say now, but anyway, but the league is for people from wherever you are, not just from Torbay. I think someone mentioned to me that they've got a friend from Torbay that want to join the league. The league's open to the whole world. So, I don't know. So I just thought I'd make at that point in case anyone was curious. There you go.
There we have it, Dan.
There we have it. So we obviously hope everyone's enjoyed the podcast.
Do you want to move on to? Are you guys going to do a podcast next week about the prediction?
Prediction.
We'll do it next week.
Yeah, when we know.
You're more than happy. I would like to. I'll do it live now. I'd like to think that Jason, you'd join us next week if it's possible, and maybe the 3 of us could reveal our wildcard teams, possibly, with obviously changes to it and stuff. But yeah, we'd be doing wildcard.
Yeah, okay. We can discuss it. We can discuss it next week.
Yeah,
I think that'd be a good idea. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, obviously we can see some interesting games. Newcastle, Arsenal, Spurs. They've obviously got the Southampton, Brighton. Is it a derby? Sort of nearly a derby game as well. So some pretty interesting games coming up. Thanks for watching the podcast. And if somebody can explain this Euro Nations League to me, I could be really grateful. But enjoy that. Enjoy a little bit of a break. Maybe do your wild card. and have a good weekend. And see you next time. Thanks a lot.
Take care. A little tip from me as well. Danny Ward from Cardiff.
Yeah, he looked dangerous. He did look dangerous against us.
4.5 bargain.
Side enemy hitting the -4. Gotta get him in.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Yeah, thank you.